It's Tuesday. We're a minute late. The tacos are getting soggy. You missed that before we went on air. We got Jake Malik, John Shear, Just Dave, and I'm JB Ellis. This is Sideline Sports.
Soggy
Dave.
tacos would be a great merch.
JB, are you asleep at the wheel today? What's going on? You're so like, this is Sideline Sports. I'm JB.
He's eating tacos.
Like, come on. No, I'm not talking about Dave. I'm talking about JB. He's just like,
Soggy tacos.
JB. He's not happy. I want to hear the happy JB.
I want a shirt that
I'm
says
JB Ellis. Come on.
I want a shirt that says
Happy
soggy
JB.
tacos.
Well, all I know, guys, is so Anne Marie goes, "Hey, what time is JB going to be here for his tacos?" Well, I had to explain, this guy thing. This where everyone's just kind of full of it. But
I wish.
But she was ready, man, and I have to eat extra tacos.
See, it works out for everybody.
How unfortunate. Poor Dave has to eat extra tacos. Boo.
Yeah, and she did. She pulled out the good stuff. I mean, it's the chicken fajita tacos. She wanted to put her best foot forward, thinking we're going to have a guest, and
nice.
Now I'm going to have tacos for dinner, breakfast, maybe even lunch. I don't know how many.
JB, where are you that you're not with Dave? What is so important that you're not in the studio with Dave having tacos? What could possibly
be so
important?
I mean, I got in the car this morning to drive, and I realized I couldn't make it to Southern California in enough time.
You, sir, are full of it. Dave, what kind of tacos are they? You said chicken fajita. What else is in there?
Fajita tacos. Yeah, like I said, she went with her A game.
Well, what else is in there? What kind of?
I'm glad JB's not here because there's more for me.
Is it they're jalapenos? What kind of cheese is there?
No cheese. Hey, diet, bro.
I like
diet, bro. No cheese. There's plenty of flavor. Look at that. Look at this. Look like stuff moving out. This is like a commercial.
Nice.
I think we're gonna start. We were looking for a taco sponsor. I don't know if I want to eat anybody else's tacos. So
nobody loves their tacos.
I'll say we're eating there. I'll say I'm eating theirs, but Anne Marie's still busting on me.
There you go. We need a little cooking segment before the.
Oh God! We used to do a food segment. This is our food segment.
I miss it. I miss our punchable face segment. Didn't we have a punchable face segment?
Well, John, speaking of, where were you last week? Are you going to tell me finally? I'm going to call you out on air because I still don't know, and I'm kind of annoyed. I texted you asking you, and you just eluded the question, you little weasel.
It's personal and private. And,
so you know what? I'm going to say this.
You to respect my privacy in this.
That's fine. No, that's John. I'll respect your privacy, but I'll just tell you this. JB told me, and I'm going to quote him here, that when the show was over, you would let him know where you were. So it doesn't sound personal or private. It sounds like you just don't want the rest of the world to know. And that's okay. Just admit it. Just be a man and admit you don't want us to know. It's all right.
Isn't that personal and
I
private?
actually still don't know.
Look, I've met two of the three of you, in real life. So it's a little more personal.
Hey, guys.
Hey, it's fine.
I want to make a note. I think we set a record. We are 5 minutes into a sports talk show and have not mentioned Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I was trying to avoid him, and I really don't want to talk about him today, honestly. I know he's a big topic, but I'm kind of not interested. I'm kind of tired of him.
We've been on air longer than he played this season.
There we go.
We touched. I think we've touched on more topics than Aaron Rodgers had plays this season.
Oh man,
Aaron Rodgers played more plays. Aaron Rodgers played more plays than the Giants scored points.
You know what? Here's what's even funnier. Well, here's what's even funnier though about Aaron Rodgers. You know what time it is? It's 8:35. I believe by this point, Aaron Rodgers was already in the locker room. So we've managed to stay out longer than Aaron Rodgers, too. There's a lot of things we're doing better than Aaron Rodgers.
Didn't you guys stay in the locker room the whole game?
Not quite, but I think your defense did. I think your defense might have forgotten to show up if you want to go down that route.
This is kind of self-incriminating, but I think Aaron Rodgers had more plays than the Seahawks had yards in the second half.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Wow.
What?
It was bad.
Tune into Hawk Talk tonight because I don't even know what happened this season. I can't explain it. Makes no sense.
Before we move on to all the pressing topics, so Dave was at Alumni Weekend, and I'm sure Hawk Talk's going to get into this a lot. But tell us a little bit about the experience, Dave, before we go on.
The last time I had done that was 12 years ago, and for those of you that know, I wasn't up there for a long time. I was, I qualify, but but barely. I will say this: it was top notch the entire weekend, and the beautiful thing of it is a true brotherhood. That whether you're walking up and hanging out with Steve Largent or Jim Zorn or another guy like me that was only around for a short while. Everyone is just welcoming. The conversation was great. The camaraderie was great. The organization is great. We're at the practice the day before, and Pete calls all the legends out, and we do the boom breakdown with the team, and you guys saw the pictures, and it looks fun. I don't know if you saw the one. So the one with me, I had to tell Pete. I go, Pete, I did this 12 years ago, and I had to tell you to get off your tiptoes. And he goes, I'm much more comfortable with myself now. So it was funny. And then Anne Marie takes a picture with him, and his smile's like ear to ear. And I said, come on,
noticed
Pete.
that.
You can't be that happy.
He's happy because it was before the season started.
Yeah, well, he did say to let him know when the wedding is, because he'd like to come and visit. His daughter lives right around the corner from us. So
wow, that's pretty cool.
You know what? That's how you know he's a really good guy. Like he's a good person. Not that it was a question he wasn't, but just,
at least
like,
Pete's willing to visit Southern California, unlike JB.
I could concur. Pete Carroll's a good guy.
I didn't question that, but it's just I don't know. It's just nice to hear those things. Don't you agree? Like it's just like, oh, that's really sweet.
I agree.
No, he has a lot of fun with the guys on the practice field. He runs around, brings a huddle in and would break it just like you would think he does. It's not an act. That's just how.
Next time you see him, ask him how many sticks of gum he chews during a game. Like, how many does he start with? Is it like 7? I'm really curious. And does he change gum at any point? Or does he keep the gum from beginning to end?
I'll leave that to you, John, when you get the opportunity to speak with him.
If you guys go to the Super Bowl and he's there, I will make sure I ask him those specific questions.
You guys do that.
And then you got to,
does the gum turn gray at some point?
I tend to think it does.
Duhawk and some of the other people out there, some of the fans I saw. It's like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the 12 were on point. We went and hit a couple of parties the night before. So welcoming, and we had such a great time, and got to hang with guys that I hadn't seen for years. Edwin Bailey, who is one of their most noted offensive linemen, was there, I think, 8 seasons, and Norm Johnson, their kicker for a long time, Randall Morris, and of course our guest for Hawk Talk this week,
Max Strong.
Max Strong, thank you. So having one of those moments, CTE moments. So Max
JB
Strong
understands.
Yeah, and he's Mac is just such a solid dude.
Hey, listen. There's only two of us on this panel. Only 2 of us on this panel have had a pro football tryout. Okay, so the other 2 don't cross to each other. Relax.
I played middle school football, so I mean,
Yeah, so does that mean anything?
On my way to an NFL career, but things happen in life, and you go different directions.
I mean, thank God for the Arena League. I was able to try out, but I didn't make it.
That really counts.
Was it as bad as your golf game?
There was a scout from the Chiefs there, so I was professionally scouted.
Wow. Congratulations! It means absolutely nothing.
Nice.
Hey,
sure
it's something.
Did you show up in sandals and a beer?
No.
With a beer in your hand?
No.
Okay.
So it was at Arena?
He only does that at New York Giants Fan Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I tried out for the LA Kiss when I was 52, about 7 years ago. Yeah. But they folded. So that's my story, is that they folded. Otherwise, I would have made it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know. I thought there was going to be more to that. I was really excited. I was like, oh, there's a cool story coming. And then it was just, I just tried.
Yep.
You know what I think, Dave? I think Dave would be a great player on that new Pros versus Joe's show. I think Dave versus like a regular person like one of us on that show. That would be great to see. Great TV. Well, see Dave, like some guy try and pass rush past Dave, and Dave just like clocks him. That'd be great. Well, I just thought of that.
I'd like that.
I almost spilled the beans on something that's in the works, but I can't yet But it's a pretty cool concept. So we'll let you know. I'll let you know when I get permission to talk about it.
I thought you did something related to us. I was like, oh, Dave.
It's an upcoming show, but it's in concept, and we haven't booked it yet. So I don't want to drop because I want someone to beat us to it.
I almost ruined his surprise.
Understood.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't
all right, so now we've been on 12 minutes and haven't talked about it. Guys, I don't even know what our topics are for tonight, but you know what?
We've covered
the stadium.
We've covered soggy
I feel bad for Jets fans. They finally had somebody, to hang a hat on. But they end up winning, right?
That was even more surprising. How did they pull out that game?
It was 9-11.
You know what? The kid.
Oh, John, that's horrible.
But and then they have a great defense, man.
Well, that defense is phenomenal.
What I'll say is this: I think the legend of Sam Darnold might still be haunting MetLife because I think Josh Allen was seeing ghosts yesterday. I'm not really sure where he was throwing half the time. He had what?
He was throwing to Whitehead.
To one guy? I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Whitehead. I think that was a phenomenal game. Very impressive. Good on him. Like, again,
by the way, Jake,
to take away.
He had a clause in his contract.
I know.
Three picks.
He got $250,000 for that one game. I know.
Got it in one game.
You and I both saw that, John. I was like, oh, good on him. Like, talk about a payday. That's a pretty good day.
It's a good way to start the season.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a solid day.
I'm happy when I make $8 on Uber, not let alone
really.
Does he get that check first thing in the morning today when he goes into the stadium?
I hope so.
No, it's the end of the year. They settle all debts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Listen, he won the game for them. That should be like a presentation. Let Salah give it over in the locker room after the game. Get the guys excited.
But look,
Josh didn't look good.
I don't want to say the Jets didn't win that game because that's not true. That would be a little bit rude. And
it's more the Bills lost it.
But it's I don't want to say the Jets didn't lose or didn't win. Excuse me, because they definitely did things to win the game. But it felt more that the Bills did more to lose the game than the Jets did to win. I think that's a fair statement to make. I won't say they didn't win it. I'm not saying the Bills didn't lose it.
Loss.
I just had to, I have to say that, like, if I had to choose which was more prevalent, one team winning or one team basically causing themselves to lose, I choose the one that lost.
Let's break down the game for a second. Who besides Josh Allen really cost the game? The Bills' defense was really good.
Yeah. The
running game looked better than it's looked.
No, we can say Josh Allen lost the game. I'm cool to say that.
I would say that. Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say it.
Okay, so because I don't find fault with anybody else on the team looking at it.
Jamie, I have no problem admitting that they lost that game. No problem with that at all. I'm not opposed to say. I was just making the statement of like, well, instead of calling one guy out, let's just call out the Bills as a whole. But
I would say this. I would say let's go around the horn and let's say what other first week disappointments you can save the hat for last. But who else did we kind of just not expect to get drummed? Or
Dave, hold on. Is it how many teams that lost, or can we just pick teams that maybe didn't play?
Whatever you.
Okay.
Let's say this. Let's go either way. The team you didn't expect to win or didn't expect to lose as bad as you did. Either way, but just surprises. First week surprise.
It's fine. Fair enough.
All right. I'll start. I got to go Vikings. I mean, for a team with the NFC wide open, for the division wide open, and you're playing a team led by Baker Mayfield, who is supposed to be bad this year. I would say probably around 500. If you're the Vikings, you're thinking 12 wins. You want to redeem that Giants loss in the playoffs. You just got Jordan Addison. You got Brian Flores to help fix the defense. Like, there's no reason that the Bucs should have been in that game. You got rid of Cook. You said Madison's your guy. Like, the Vikings should have trounced them. It's not a primetime game. You can't use the Kirk Cousins thing. The Vikings came out flat. I mean, Jefferson only caught 2 balls for, I believe, 17 yards in the second half. And your offense only put up 17 against a not great Bucks defense, and Baker Mayfield played pretty well against you, and you lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. That one to me really stood out because that says a lot to me about what the Vikings are, just as a football team, not as a talent, but I don't think they're a very good football team after that loss. I don't think they know how to win. They have a lot of talent, but that one stood out to me. That's very concerning.
Yep.
Okay.
At home,
I gotta.
that's their opponent. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2. The Bengals and the Giants.
Ooh.
Ouch.
The Bengals got destroyed by the Browns. I mean, 3 points with Joe Burrow as your quarterback. Great receivers. And the Giants, I think, thought the game was in Dallas, not at MetLife. So they just got off the plane today, and they're a little confused. Both those offenses were non-existent.
Yeah.
Just bad games. And the Bengals, 2 years removed from being in the Super Bowl, open up the season as bad as that. I mean, one of the top teams in the AFC, at least everyone thought.
Yeah, no. They didn't lose, but I was disappointed in terms of their expectations. The Eagles nearly lost to the Patriots this weekend. I mean, I understand that Bill Belichick has his defenses prepared really well, and I give him credit always for that. But the Eagles talk all the smack like they are, one of the best defensive team and offensive teams, well-rounded all around, and they give up a 20 spot to a pretty abysmal offense as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they have a couple bright spots, but not many, and I don't want to say squeaked out a win, but it certainly wasn't an easy win like you expected. I understand that they're still a favorite in the NFC, but I thought Mac Jones actually looked pretty okay versus that Eagles defense, and the Eagles didn't really impress me. I mean, I understand they lost guys, but offense is still there. The line is still great. I mean,
they were up 16-0 though, Jake, and halftime game, and Bill Belichick is one of the better coaches in the NFL, and he made adjustments.
Look,
and they got lucky. They got lucky for 7 of those because it was in the rain and it was tipped off the guy's hands, right into Slay's hands, and he ran it back for a pick 6. So, that was because of the weather that they got their pick 6. Their offense really didn't do anything.
That's kind of my point. Is I get it. You can make the argument, if you will, all you want, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just again, I thought the Eagles would trounce the Patriots and it wouldn't even be close. And yes, you're right that Belichick made some adjustments, but still a lot closer.
Great point.
So I've got 2, and the reason why I'm going to pick 2 is because they actually meet up next week. First, watching the Lions, man, that offensive line is legit. Mm-hmm. The defense is legit, and those 2 reasons are the reasons why the Seahawks just looked horrible. Our QB is running for his life as usual. Our first drive looked great. Running game looked decent. And I'll tell you, Stafford just shredded us. Now, I want to say, being there live, some of those balls, I don't know how he got them in there and how they caught them. They were making some plays. But I do believe, when I was jokingly saying Aaron Rodgers had more plays than we had yards in the second half, at one juncture, I think we had 3 yards, and it might have been into the fourth quarter in the second half.
That's pretty rough.
And we did get a couple of injuries on the offensive line during the game. But man, I was saying all along, we have all the talent in the skill position, but if our line doesn't hold up, it doesn't matter how good they are. And that really showed this week. And the reason why then the Lions, on the other side of the universe, looked great. Now we've got them next week.
And they're going to want revenge for what you did to them last year at Ford Field in that shootout, and you beat them early in the year last year. They're going to want revenge for that.
Yeah. So I don't like the way we match up, especially with our defensive front. We knew we were going to be undersized, but usually we're undersized and quick. We're undersized and slow because we didn't get any pressure on Stafford at all. And that's why he was able to pick us apart. And he was on point. Stafford looked really, really good.
His elbow looks good. He looks okay.
Really good. But boy, if we do the same thing next week, we're not starting off on a great foot. But
no, it was not a good look.
And I know we talked about Rodgers for a second, but there were a couple of key injuries. Dobbins got hurt, and he's out for a bit now. It's I don't know if the way that they're doing training camp now. Do you think that's causing that, or do you think it's just misfortune?
I've been saying this for the past few years since that CBA, and they did the greatly reduced preseason, greatly reduced camp, greatly reduced everything. Is you can't go from 0 to 100 in this game, and your body is maybe in shape, but it ain't football shape. Nope. And you could take two-hand touch and abbreviated and the padded helmets, but you take those things off and you go full speed. It's still 300 against 300 running 4.6 40s. There's a thing called E equals MC squared. There's some physics to this that you can't duplicate unless you're going full speed. And I'm telling you, my opinion and opinion of a lot of guys, we've had this discussion. We did it this last weekend. We're seeing more and more injuries, especially initially out of the gate, because guys are not 100% ready for it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. I've been saying that for years as well. They remember, like, back in the day, they used to hit during practice. Like, you can't hit during practices and things like that anymore. You can't there's no more two-a-days. The preseason, again, is shortened to 3 games. Everybody used to play in the 4th game of the preseason at least like a half. Like, all the starters of every team basically did it. And then nobody really does it anymore. So, think about this. You get hit, real hit, like an NFL game, January. Unless you play the Super Bowl, January is the last time you actually get hit. You don't get hit again, real speed, until September. That's a long time between actually getting hit, and that's the first time you're getting hit in 8 months. And then you're expected to not pull a hamstring or get injured or be able to take a whole game. It's just too much. And that's why I always say the first 2 to 3 weeks, it'll be really sloppy. And then when you get to October, it'll start looking clean and crisp. But don't panic on your team. Don't panic on your fantasy team, all that stuff. Don't panic, because this is preseason, basically. The first couple weeks of the NFL season are preseason, because these guys are getting used to the schemes. They're getting used to all this stuff because they haven't played with their own guys. New people haven't played with their own guys yet because they haven't played in preseason, some of them. So the first time they're playing is against, in real games.
I'll tell you, and I know I've shared this because we've had this as a topic a few times, especially during the preseason, is, those of us old guys and played for coaches like Chuck Knox, where we're not doing 2-a-days, we're doing 3-a-days. And
that's some real stuff.
My second season, I'm starting at left guard because we had 3 offensive linemen holding out. And you think they cut the reps down? No. And I was still doing scout team, going the other way because I was, a second-year guy. My first game, they announced us, right? And for me, it was really cool to be announced, as a starting lineup, and they call you out. My parents were there in Arizona. I was running on the field. Both of my groin is taped. And if you've ever seen how a groin is taped, it's wrapped around your hamstring and around your waist and to hold your legs together. And both of my elbows were taped from shoulder to wrist. And I was like a mummy running out there. I had to beat the heck for the first preseason game. So yeah, it's a different era, but I do believe it's reflecting in these injuries for sure.
Yeah. But at least you were ready, right? I mean, you were ready to be hit, right? It's not like it was a surprise to your body.
Right. Yeah. And actually, I pancaked the guy on the first snap. I was so irritated.
No, you're right. But I'm just to put a bow on that. I would agree. I mean, I like the idea of guys don't get hurt in the preseason because it's quote unquote meaningless football. And that's how a lot of guys look at it, and that's all well and good. I think that's great, but they're just getting hurt now. So
you're going to see a lot more soft tissue injuries these first couple weeks.
It's like, okay, let's not get hurt in the preseason. Let's get hurt in the first 2-3 weeks. It doesn't. I understand their logic is the fans are actually out there watching the games, and that's fine. It doesn't make it better. It's still the same issues are happening. It just doesn't look as bad because it's regular season, not preseason. So in their eyes, everything's better.
What about any standout players? I saw Austin Eckler had a really nice game.
Yeah, he killed
That's
us.
over 100 yards
Well,
rushing, and
standout player. I want to clarify just one thing to you, Dave. Do we want it to be a surprise standout or just like anybody that played really well this weekend?
your pick.
Okay, no, there's no right or wrong.
Because Austin Eckler's not a surprise, but it's good to see him come out of the gate with 100-yard rushing. For his first week. Yeah.
No, I ask because, like, for me, my guy, I don't think is a surprise. I saw it coming, and I think actually a lot of people did. But at the same time, he hasn't played football in like 2 years. Calvin Ridley, he had a really nice game. He had over 100 yards. Clearly, a strong connection with Trevor Lawrence. It was good to see him. Again, he hasn't played in 2 years. I take Deshaun Watson. He didn't play for a couple of years, right? He looked terrible at first when he came back. So it was good to see Calvin Ridley was, he was in game shape. He was ready to go. He was, he looked like himself, and it was good to see. Jaguars got to be celebrating a little bit right now. Like, oh, this is good. We made a good trade here. We did a good thing. It worked out.
And Trevor Lawrence needs some help out of the backfield, so that's good. I mean,
they looked great. The team as a whole looked awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to give a lob to John. I'm going to say Tua and Hill. And John, you could comment on that because they were unbelievable.
I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the game when the two throws that Tua made on that last drive to win the game. The throw where he was on the run, running to his left, and he jumped in the air, threw the ball about 50 yards downfield, and right in between two defenders, and it hit Tyreek Hill as he was sliding. It hit him right in the chest as he was sliding 50 yards downfield on like 3rd and 15. Hit him right in the stomach, like right here. And it was like, whoa. And then the game-winning touchdown. If you guys didn't see it, it's one of the best throws you'll ever see in your life. Dropping it. No, I'm serious. Dropping it over top of the defender. And there was like this much room between the defender and Tyreek Hill's hands. And it literally just dropped right in Tyreek Hill's lap. I mean, I've only ever seen Aaron Rodgers make a throw like that. I don't think I've ever seen anybody else make an accurate throw like that where you're just like, how is that even possible? So yeah, some of those throws were just nuts.
No, I mean, excuse me, John, I will say this. I know I like to rag on you and make fun of the Dolphins, and that's all well and good. But what did I tell you guys at the beginning of the season? And I have it right here. And I didn't pick them, but I picked the Bills to win the division. I have my paper here that says I picked. Right. But what did I say to you guys? Does anybody remember what I said about this division?
I don't remember most of what you tell me.
All right, that's fine.
Wow.
That's fine, because I would hope you would remember this, John. What I said was the only reason I'm not picking the Dolphins is my concerns on Tua's health. I think they're the most complete team. I think they have the best coaching. I think they have everything there. They have an offensive coach, which is important. I think Vic Fangio is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. I think the weapons are beautifully placed. It's just the right guys in the right positions. Your defense is nicely put together. And so so this is not a surprise that they played well. I said this team absolutely could be one of the best all year. My only concern is Tua's health.
And that was without their star left tackle. He didn't even play.
So this is not a surprise to me. This is exactly what I expected from this team. And the question will continue to be, will Tua be healthy? If he's healthy,
two offensive linemen going up against Bosa and Khalil Mack, and they didn't allow one sack and they didn't allow one quarterback hit.
It was
the entire game against those two.
The only
guys.
thing, John, just take this with a grain of salt. It is the Chargers. The Chargers don't know how to close out games. You got a great win.
But
your team
to
played
throw
well.
466 yards and 3 touchdowns on the road is pretty impressive.
That's good. But the Chargers also notorious for having a bad defense. Let's not forget that. Let's not overreact, I think, is Jamie's point. And I agree.
To blow games in the end. They just can't close it out.
True.
So.
Come on, we always know that's coming.
John, what happened to Teron Armstead?
So he got rolled up on a couple weeks ago. In one of the preseason games, he got rolled up on, and they played it cautious with him. They figured it's better to just let him get 100% because they're thinking about the long term for the season and not the short term of the season. But his ankle is just healing up from getting rolled up. You know how it is getting rolled up on.
Yeah,
absolutely. But hey, like I said, team looks real good.
We got a special guest.
Well, before we do that, I have a trade to announce, gentlemen, in fantasy football. So this applies to two of you because I've been working day and night, like literally I spend days with him because he's a pain in the butt. But Jacob Christner finally has found a trade with me. And this is probably his best trade because it's actually relatively even, I believe. I will be getting. I'll start with what I'm giving away.
I have something to reply to that. Can I reply to that?
What?
We don't care.
That's fine because I didn't.
We
really
don't care.
I don't really care. I will be getting, or I'm giving away. Get ready, it's a big one. Joe Burrow, Najee Harris, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Amari Cooper. However, in return, I get Geno Smith, which is the worst part of the trade, Stephon Diggs, Christian McCaffrey, and Brandon Ayuk.
So you're just gonna say that with this guy to my right? You're just gonna say that?
What
you're
about
gonna knock Geno Smith when we got
he's
the Hawk Talk right here?
Dave, you're gonna disagree that he's the worst player in that trade? I didn't say he's bad, but he's the least valuable player in that trade. Are you gonna argue that
after this week, I would agree with that.
Absolutely, that's it. I'm not saying he's bad. I think he's a great player. Dave. I don't think that was an inappropriate statement. I didn't say he's bad. I think he's great. I'm trading for him.
You're going down that list. Somebody's got to be the worst. So.
Dave. Thank you for that. Because I love Geno.
That was a glaring yes, but it was like, Christian McCaffrey. Ayuk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cats. There's a lot of cats racking up points in that trade.
You have two. I wonder who just vetoed the trade. I wonder who did that, John.
I'm in the middle of a show. I'm not worried about
baloney. You're full of it. I know you vetoed the trade.
I don't care about
looking down at a computer.
JB doesn't care that much. All right, we got a guest, so we can bring him on. We do.
Yep.
Your favorite.
Thanks for telling me. Man, I'm like a mushroom over here. I just sit in the dark and it's Rob. I know Rob. He's not a guest. He's a team member.
He still is a guest.
No, he's not. He's a team member, man. I
know. But
what's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing, Rob?
Hey, so that trade that you try to do in fantasy, someone had to be the last, someone had to be the ugliest and stuff like that. That's me now coming onto the show right now. So I'm like, stuff like that.
You know what?
No one made my trade. No one disconnect my signal.
We love you, though. We would never think of you like that because, see, when you come on, I become last place. And I'm just going to say it because John comes up with stupid things. Dave is just Dave. And JB, I don't know, he keeps the peace, so I guess he's kind of important. And you probably have the best stories here. Yeah. No offense, Dave, but he's got some.
No, that's true. Stories. So I couldn't wait for Raphael to get on because Raphael was telling me parlays are for bad gamblers. So I was going to parlay, and the staple of my parlay was the Hawks covering 5 against the Rams. I thought that was like a no-brainer at home. And then everything else, I was like doing these other picks, these other offshoots of trying my, and then I just couldn't put it together. And here's the reason why I don't gamble. I mean, that we got trounced.
Yes.
It wasn't even close. Got trounced. And
if you're a Seahawk fan, you have to thank 2 teams, the Giants and the Steelers. Because no one's talking about how bad Seattle played. Everyone's talking about the Pittsburgh being at home. A lot of money came in on Pittsburgh. Giants at home on the only football game on TV, and they lay an egg. So if you're Seattle, send thank you cards to the New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers because no one's talking about how poorly Seattle.
And everybody's focused on Rodgers. Nobody's, everybody's focused on the Rodgers thing.
Absolutely, which we still haven't really talked about. Which we need to talk about at some point.
We'll get there.
Just a little bit. Like we've mentioned it, we haven't really talked about it.
I was up until like 2:30 in the morning trying to figure out betting prop bets and who's going to be the next trade or sign in for the Jets. And I'm sure you saw the email, so I was.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for that. I was on a show last night when the announcement came out that it was probably an Achilles, and so I even told the show, I'm like, I can't do another segment because I can guarantee you my phone's blowing up wanting to know how many prop bets I'm going to have and will he retire.
Let me ask you, Ralph, because I saw your props and that I love to see that stuff. You know that. But I'm just curious what your opinion is. Who do you think is going to be the next quarterback? Because I already got mine.
I think they stick with the guys they have now, and then maybe sign someone and see how he can go. I mean, right now your game 2 is house money. because Aaron Rodgers went down for 4 plays. I can guarantee you the coach is like, oh, here we go. Here's an L. Now you pull out a victory. So in your mind, you're now at game 2. Maybe we're playing with house money. We shouldn't have won that game on game 1. So now we have another week to prepare. Okay, maybe if we do lay an egg on game 2, we're only 1-1, not 0-2. I mean, Dave knows this. 0-2 and 1-1 is huge. They're kind of placed. I think they can roll the dice a little. Now, not a lot, a little to see how. But I'm hearing Cooper Rush and Taylor Heineke are the ones that those two they're looking at.
Really?
Wow.
I mean,
those are some ugly names.
Well, who else? Give another name. Give another option.
Kaepernick was a name
today.
Boy.
He's interested.
He's 7 years. He hasn't played in 7 years.
I'm saying that report came out today.
Look,
as well.
John, a lot of things come out. It doesn't mean they're going to happen.
I'm just telling you about the report. Don't kill the
I know.
I saw that report too, and I'm like, I understand it, but at the same time, it's 7 years.
It's a little much. It's like, okay, if you told me Carson Wentz, if you told me Matt Ryan, like I wouldn't say, oh, these are good ideas, but I'd say, well, at least they played within the last year,
decade.
That's fine.
What are the odds?
And we're good.
What are the odds on Philip Rivers?
Good is a strong word.
Rivers, I heard, came out right away and said he's not coming back. I heard he's really bad out of shape right now, Philip Rivers.
Just probably because he's got
like Andrew Luck. Last time I saw Andrew Luck, he had a really, really nice beer gut. So I can wipe those two. Everyone wants to talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady would have to give up his shares in the Raiders, his shares in the WNBA. I mean, by the time he filled out all the paperwork, his transfers of all his shares that he has, the season would be over.
Wow.
Yeah. Be kind of silly.
I mean, what about Todd Murnovich? We just had him on the show last week. He has a record.
You're real funny.
Record in the Arena League. The oldest guy.
I think they just stick with the kid. He didn't. I mean, he made some plays.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, he made some plays.
He did enough to not lose the game this week, which was nice.
Now keep an eye out for Winston. Because he's the other rookie from the Saints is only suspended for 6 games. I mean, if you're gonna make a move like that, you kind of have to make a move for almost as next year as well. Just because even if Rodgers does come back, he's not going to be 100% probably by week 1 of next year. So keep an eye out for Winston.
What about the guy from the Browns that's backing up Watson, the rookie Dorian Thompson? I know you probably don't have odds on him, but he looks really good.
I should have put him on a list. There's a lot. I put the list out, and my email got flooded. You didn't put this one. You didn't put this guy. I'm like, it's 4 a.m.
So who did you get? Who was mentioned the most that you missed?
Faldo. from that horrible movie that Replacements. He was probably the one that got the most just because I think Tebow and who's the other one? Heineke. Those two were the ones that said
Heineke? Come on.
Those are 2 that I've been hearing, and they got the most action. Tebow's has the most betting action on it right now.
Really?
Wow.
Why?
What kind of take you guys taking?
Tebow was only a couple years younger than Rodgers. It's not like he's some spry chicken.
He's been in the league so long and he sucks.
I know.
I just think people see the dollar amount, 150 to 1, and it's not like people are putting $1,000 on it. I'm just thinking.
Yeah. Fair enough, I guess.
I don't know.
What's your minimum bet?
On this prop, I think it was $5. I think most of my prop bets are $5.
Oh. Nah, I can afford that.
I mean, I had to deal with public relations yesterday because everyone wanted all their Aaron Rodgers prop bets voided.
Nope.
So it's
I would assume not.
Some companies did.
That's
really?
So BS.
DraftKings did it just because they were in PR negative as it was when they tweeted out that horrible 9/11 parlay that offended a lot of people, and so they were in backup PR mode. So I understand why they did it because
that's fair enough. But
I understand why they did it because they were in a horrible a PR disaster that went out. So, but I
Listen.
heard BetMGM did it as well. Maybe that's why they got computer hacked today or yesterday.
Yeah, that was bad.
Oh, hey. They need
Their
better
whole
security, I guess.
system got shut down.
It's still shut down. I'm a shareholder, so I get stuff like that sent to me. So
still
yeah,
shut
they're still
down?
shut down. Yep.
Well, then, so what? So
Wow.
what do we got? What do we got? What's the hot one this week?
It's overreaction week 2, and you guys were just bashing the Chargers, and the Chargers are now a road favorite. And I know Tennessee looked bad, but I said bet against Tennessee last week on this show because I said Tannehill has not one but 2 quarterbacks breathing down their neck.
Yep.
And he was horrible. I like the Chargers on the road. If you're the Chargers and you play poorly at home, and you can't say they're a home game because there was more Miami Dolphin fans than Charger fans, so you can't say Chargers have home field advantage
That's
in any
unfortunately
game.
Chargers for you.
In any game.
They should have stuck in San Diego.
The best thing they needed to do was get out of town, go on the road, and now you're playing a horrible Tannehill quarterback, which he's at least is going to be short. If I'm the Jets, you maybe want to call the Giant or call Tennessee and say, hey, what do you want for Tannehill? You got 2 quarterbacks are in the wing waiting. I like the Chargers -3 on the road.
All right.
That defensive Tennessee played really well. They played really well.
So what's the line? What's the line on the Hawks Lions?
Now, if you like Seattle, it's -6 right now, and the betting public is going to just look at who Detroit played last week. They're going to look at all that stats, and they're going to pump this one up to 7. I can guarantee you by kickoff, the Lions will be -7. And if that goes that high, I would take a shot at the Seahawks. Here's another team.
I'm
Best
writing
thing
these
to do
down.
maybe go out of town and don't have to read the press clippings, just like the Bears. If you're the Bears, best thing to do is probably get out of Soldier Field in Chicago so you don't have to think about how the Packers owned you again. Now you're on the road with a favorable team. I like the Seahawks if I can get that 7. If it's 6, I'll probably just stay away. But I like the under 47. The Seahawks defense is getting overlooked and how bad their offense looked. But the Seahawks defense didn't play. They played pretty well, and we also the Lions defense on.
So you think that Seahawks offense is coming back, huh?
They can hang around a number. I have the Lions winning, but covering that 7 against a team that can play really good defense still.
We lost both tackles, so and we're talking to guys that have been removed for a minute just to get some tackles in.
Yeah. Hey,
I think
good
they
offense.
can
We'll see.
hang around in a number. I like the Steelers on Monday night too.
Really?
Yeah, here's another team that looked bad at home. Probably have to read the press clippings. Pickett ain't gonna play that bad, and I know they lost some guys on defense. But you figure defense is saying, "Hey, we can't have Watt do everything. We're gonna have to help Watt out." Stuff like that. I would not be shocked. And Cleveland has a horrible Monday Night Football record.
All right, so
Cleveland's Cleveland.
But you know what, JB? What's your rule? Don't bet divisional games ever. Am I right?
I don't like division games.
See, thank you.
Well, this guy was sweating Washington on Sunday, so I can't. I can't listen to him.
Washington.
Well, doesn't Cleveland have the most losses over the last 20 years?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go.
Ralph, I did want to ask you something now that I thought about it. We were talking about the most disappointing games of the week and teams. I'm sure you had a lot of money on the Eagles. Did you have anybody, maybe betting other teams in the NFC this weekend that did you see less action on the Eagles, especially after week 1? Did you see a lot of action on maybe somebody else that said, oh, they look good? Did you see a lot of that? I'm curious because I know they look.
Well, I would have to say the amount of action that came in on Houston late on Saturday and Sunday kind of shocked me. A little bit. They were in it pretty much almost at halftime. They were only down 7-6 at half. So I was a little
that first half was scary.
Taken backwards, and I have to say the Raiders. Everyone was all over Denver, thinking, "Oh, Sean's there, Russell Wilson's fixed, blah 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 blah." And then they get Lutz from the Saints. And he misses a field goal and an extra point, and they lose by 1. So I would have to say probably the Raiders, who I thought maybe could be one of the worst teams. And I thought Jimmy G looked really good and comfortable in the pocket.
Okay. But did you have any NFC teams? So those are all AFC. I'm just curious. If there's not, there's not.
I would have to say NFC. If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers getting hurt yesterday, we would be talking more about Jordan Love and the Packers.
Okay. All right. So you saw what I saw because I thought they actually looked not so bad.
I think they can probably surprise a lot of people and a lot of bettors and maybe even win that division. If they play like they did against Miami, granted the Bears quarterbacks couldn't throw more than 10 yards. I felt like I was watching high school football, just screen pass, handoff, screen pass, handoff.
It was bad.
That was bad offense, but the Packers defense looked good. And if they can run the ball like that, that's going to be dangerous.
I think that game said more about how bad the Bears are and how overhyped they were this offseason.
But again, if you're Jordan Love, you're in the locker room saying, "Hey, I just got a W on week 1 against our division rivals."
For him.
Yeah,
that was really big for his confidence. I mean,
I feel like Packers fans are losing their mind, probably like, "Oh my God, we have our next quarterback." In reality,
Bears are a train wreck.
Now I have to give John credit. The Dolphins their offense looked really, really, really good. Granted, I can't say they were on a road as a big road win because when you go to the Chargers games, it's not a road game.
No.
You saw it on TVs it's week 1. I'm not overreacting.
The Chargers.
Tua looked good. I was a little bit shocked at how well Eckler was able to run against Miami, especially in the second half. But I thought they looked really surprisingly, and I'm glad for Tua because I can guarantee you he went on that field with his jersey on, the helmet on, and he had a lot of questions in his head.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a lot of answers probably right now, or at least he feels like he's got some answers.
And they held Justin Herbert down pretty good, which doesn't happen often.
That's why I like the Chargers. I think Herbert will have a better game against Tennessee. I'm not sold on Tennessee's secondary. Granted, they looked really good against Carr, but Carr, I'm not sold on Carr anyways. So Tennessee gave that game away. It's not like the Saints won that game. They gave it 3 interceptions, and then everyone keeps on forgetting that block, that fumble. It should have been a fumble, but it's a complete pass for Carr. That was 10 points off the board that the Tennessee could have had.
Hey, and guess what? Michael Thomas looked pretty good for the first time in
John talked about his
years.
fantasy.
No, as a football fan, for a guy that was
a
receiver before he got hurt.
He looked good in the first quarter. That's what I tell you.
It's been 3 years since he played meaningful football, and kudos to him for making his way all the way back after a couple of seasons where he was just nothing but injuries. I like whenever guys are able to make their way back after fighting through all of that. I like whenever guys are able to do that in football, man. It's really hard to come back from that physically and mentally.
I'm just glad that the ACC has owned SEC this year so far in football because I was tired of listening to SEC crap. So anytime I see a struggling SEC team on Saturday, I'm happy. I'm happy on Sunday.
I can't wait for Colorado to lose. I'm so tired of this stupid Colorado train.
It ain't gonna be this weekend.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be against Colorado State.
It ain't gonna be this weekend.
It's coming though when they play the USCs and
they play Oregon next week.
They
play Oregon. We have Oregon 14.5-point favorites against them.
Good. I'm looking forward to that.
Why do you want to see them get beat so bad?
I'm so tired. They're so arrogant, and in sports, you got to respect the game, and they don't respect the game at all.
Why don't they respect?
I don't like the way they go about it. I don't like the way they just kicked their whole team off, and they're just like, "Yeah, we're bringing in new people." They're so unprofessional. They brag about everything. They won one game. They're running their mouths. It's like, put your head down. Yeah, you won the game. Congrats. Get to work for the next week. Celebrate for a day, whatever. But don't go on all these talk shows bragging and on social media bragging. Put your head down. You won the game. Congratulations. You won a cookie. I don't like all that. Extra
that was a big
stuff.
John. That was a big win on the road against the team that was in the national championship.
John doesn't want to talk about the fact that they.
No, I don't like sore winners. I don't like sore losers, and I don't like sore winners.
Hello, Kettle. This is Pot. Are you black? I mean, come on.
If you're a professional
you're
athlete,
the biggest sore winner I know.
If you're I'm not a professional athlete. If you're a professional athlete, I think that you should win with class.
With
That's
grace.
what I think.
You lose with grace, you win with grace. You
got to have class. They don't have class.
Go ahead, JV.
John just sounds like every Clint Eastwood movie he makes right now. Old man, get off my yard.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm shocked with how the way you react, John, to a win. That you think that the Colorado people and Coach Prime can't have a little reaction.
It's not a little reaction.
John, they beat the team that was in the national championship game when
It's
everyone
not
said
the same team. They
John,
had
when
how many
everyone-
starters return this year? Like 3?
It doesn't matter, John.
It does matter.
When everyone told them that they weren't going to be anything because he totally rebuilt the team, they're allowed to have that reaction.
They're allowed to do whatever they want.
No,
Why not?
Classless.
Why is it classless?
Because you won the game, you don't act like that. That's unprofessional.
Why not? Why not?
Because that's not how you do it. That's not.
Should they bow their heads in silence and it's a good game in their
that's
heads?
What you do.
No.
Shake the other team's hand.
That.
You won the game. Shake the other team's hand and go to your locker room. You don't need to do all this hoopla.
So over this last weekend, we had the Seahawk legends. The only downside to this weekend was the game, but we had a great weekend with all the legends coming into town, and a bunch of us from the 80s, 88, 89 when I was there. We were sitting around doing Chuck Knockisms. Chuck Knockisms. Chuck had the greatest one-liners, and one of them was, hey, pretend like you've been there before. So when you win, man, and then his other thing was, this team here, we come in with our hard hats and our lunchbox, and this is what we do. He was just that grassroots.
That would have been
dude.
my kind of guy.
Yeah, and it was like no frill. We had a guy. We were down by like 3 scores, do a backflip in the end zone. Oh my gosh, he ran that. And that was he got lambasted about showing off. He goes, look, man, we're getting our butts kicked here, and you're over there celebrating. And so, yeah, I get it. You can enjoy the win, but man, you start, being all over the top and throwing it in people's faces. It could come back to haunt you. I can assure you that.
It can come back to haunt you. That's fair, but I don't know.
It's like
that's
morons. It's like
Dion
morons that celebrate a first down when they're down by 30 points. Like, what are you
That's
doing?
not what they're doing. They won a big game.
They
I'm
actually
just
won a huge
saying,
game.
like, you don't understand the context. Like, you won the game. Congratulations, but put your head down. But
that's Dion.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Have you ever met him? Have you ever met him?
No, I have. Well, I saw him at Radio Row. He walked by us. And he had
the answer's no.
If you ever met him and talked to him,
couldn't get close
Dion. Those players are Dion. He's got 50 or 63 Dions on that sideline. That's all it is.
I don't like it.
It's working so far.
I'm looking for karma. I'm waiting for karma to bite him in the ass.
They're going 3-0, so we'll see.
And there's a huge difference.
You're gonna have to wait till week 4 when they play Oregon.
That's what I'm looking forward to. Here we go, week 4.
John's gonna get his $5 out and put it on.
I'm gonna get that. No, I'm getting that. I told you so sign once he loses. My I told you so sign is coming out.
Wow. I don't think he ever said he was going undefeated, so I don't know what you're telling him. So
I'm looking forward to that loss.
Whatever.
Wow.
So, hey, are there any other sports going on, Raphael, that you're dealing with? Anything good other than we're doing a lot of football, which is good, but
we got baseball's getting ready to wind down. Our playoff starts in less than a month, which I'll be at Wrigley next week. All next week, so I won't be able to jump on. So unless I could do the show, I guess at Wrigley.
You can.
Oh yeah.
Raphael, quick question. Have you made a prop for the current Jets record? The updated Jets record, if you will, with Aaron Rodgers being out. I'm just curious. If you haven't yet,
I'm gonna do total season wins. We do all that, and then you can bet how many wins we'll have for the whole season. I'll probably work on that. I'm working. I'm actually have to watch the MTV Music Awards now because we did props, and I got to finish some other stuff.
Don't want to hold you. Just
I'll work on that.
So how does that work?
That total better be low.
I'm curious. The people that bet on the Jets to win like 12 games or whatever with Rodgers, and then he gets hurt. Like, how does that bet work? Is it still like, hey, Rodgers got hurt, sucks to suck? For those people?
We send them an email of either Tums or Pepto because they're going to be sweating for the rest of the season because you got action.
Hey, it's just like drafting them number 1 in a fantasy, John. Yep. You're stuck.
I've never bet, so I don't know how any of this
That's
stuff
whatever. That's just how it goes.
There's no guarantee what's going to happen when you put a bet in. If somebody gets hurt, that's part of your bet. Nothing you can do about it.
Isn't part of the disclaimer all bets are final on there, like always there?
Yeah.
Like,
but we live in a society where participation trophies were given out. These kids who got the participation trophies are now betting. So now no one has ever told them no. No one has ever told stuff like that. So that's the era. Just like Deion's kids, they're in that. That's the era we're in right now. That no one's told them you can't do this, you can't do that. Here's your trophy. So those bettors are the ones that
here's your ice cream. Feel better. Kiss your boo-boo.
Hey, you mentioned ice cream. It's like the kids that walk outside the ice cream store and drop their ice cream and feel like the store owes them a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Absolutely.
And then when they don't get one, they tell mom to go in the store and get them for them. Mom, he won't give me an ice cream.
Wow.
All right. We got to wrap up, gents. So, Raphael, thank you so much for coming on, as always. It's always so good to see you, buddy.
Anytime, guys. I got some really good, interesting props coming up for the rest of the 7 days. So
I can't wait.
Can't wait to see them.
There's some head scratchers, and there's some ones that my wife says, I can't believe you. I just finished, will UAW go on strike before Thanksgiving, the auto workers. So I had to do that because I'm doing a special. I'm doing a special on MSNBC Money tomorrow. So I had to do something.
Oh, you really?
Oh, send me the link when you do it.
Cool.
I want to watch.
Yes, send us the link.
But
all right.
Take it easy, guys.
Thanks for talking me out of the parlay.
No parlays except for JB. He ain't listening.
I got my $5
still.
No parlays except for JB. I like that. All right, we got to wrap things up. Dave, you have something going on in a couple minutes. Why don't you very quickly.
Hey, man, yeah. So really excited. Got reconnected with Mac Strong. And Mac spent all 14 years with the Seahawks, 2-time Pro Bowl, 5-time Steve Largent Award winner, and was on the 35-year anniversary team for the Seahawks. So he's going to be our guest. And then we have Elise Robinson, who's the president of the Seahawker Boosters. So it'd be a great show.
That's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. JB, tell people where they can find you.
JB_the program on Twitter. Tomorrow, J&J Sports Express at 7. 4-1 last week with my picks. The only loss, the Buffalo Josh Allens. I don't know what they were doing in that game.
You're seeing ghosts, I told you.
Confidential on tomorrow, early time. We're doing the show a little bit earlier. Make sure you're watching that, John.
Yeah, Sideline Sports, of course, NFL Alumni Media, and Blue Hawks 13. And that's it.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. And more importantly, you can find Sideline Sports everywhere. See scrolling across the bottom of your screen. On that note, everybody have a good one. Dave, what do you got for the people?
Be good humans.
That's right. And we'll see you next week.
Peace.